And here, I want you all to take a deep breath and say, Yan. I learned how, right? Okay, you Chinese people can get a lot of that single word, I know. Says it all, doesn't it? Yan. It's an imperative, and it clarifies what has just been said with long-suffering, since mutually forbearing is a practical reality of the suffering of each other's faults in order to attain maturity. If anything, all the stuff I've said before, some of you have enjoyed it because you're like, I like all this doctrine stuff, I like all this biblical theology stuff and gospel stuff. But as I already said for the graces, when I started doing this banner point, your real problem, my real problem, a lot of times will be these things. So you really should keep this Chinese word in front of your face in your Bible. When you counsel someone, open with a bookmark that says, Yan. Okay? Before you talk. Because in the end, it captures everything, right? From the first grace of verse 2 all the way. In the end, it is bearing with one another. That's why it's imperative. Just tahan lah. Tahan. No one is saying that you're blind to the person's faults. No one is saying that you cannot get angry because they're sinning. No one is saying that you have to pretend that they're the best person in the world because you are just love is patient, love is kind, never resentful, blah, blah. No. Paul, in fact, is telling you exactly how it is. Yan. Tahan. So it makes sense that in love, 4 verse 2's in love comes right after verse 2's with all humility, gentleness, with patience, bearing one another, right here. It does not make sense to tolerate and put up with people's wrongdoings against us or their failure to live up to what they've been given. In fact, to do that would be unloving, Even if we were non-Christians, we would not allow that. If you're a non-Christian, in fact, you have to seek justice. Because otherwise, it will not be loving to your family. People will bully you and then you'll get in trouble. And you have to get the best out of people that you love, right? So you cannot just tahan. If you love someone, you say you can perform better. If you let them be weak, then they won't survive in this world. How is that loving? If you give up on them and you just tahan when there is no future, no hope, then you might as well just give up on life lah. Your son's taking drugs, tahan. Someone punch you in the face, tahan. Why don't you just give up on life? What justice are you waiting for? Nothing. That's not going to happen for you as a non-Christian. So if someone has treated you terribly, abused your patience, you can't take that lying down, can you? What would the point be in that? But for the Christian, it's different. You see how none of these can work as virtues? There is no virtue in yanning. Of all the points we made, you must realize this one really takes a cake. There's no virtue in yanning. Yan for what? Someone throw rubbish in front of your apartment. You just yawn. I watch a lot of wilderness films, wilderness documentaries. If you feed an animal near a camp, it's going to come back again. If you clean your fish near a camp, bears keep coming. That's the problem with bears in national parks in America. Joker tourists always feed them. That's why bears, literally, you can see videos, bears push rubbish bins around on 2 legs. It's so funny. My daughter was showing this bear going, like a trolley, And they can open it with their claws, no problems. Lock rubbish bins. There is no justice. When you are bullied, you are going to get bullied again and again and again and again and again. When you don't ask for people to perform to their maximum abilities, they're just going to get lazy, and then you are not loving them. Because when they said, my stomach hurts, when they were primary 1, you said, oh, okay, stay at home. Guess what? At 35, they're still walking around in their diapers. But for the Christian, therefore, it's different. Can you see? Can you see what these graces finally are? They're not morality. They're not virtues. They're not the good things we do to each other as techniques, like the sandwich method. Say something positive, give a small criticism, say something positive at the end. This is not Google Meetings radical candor technique in order for us to have a united company. This is hoping in God, which means we put up with each other because we are praying, hoping, trusting in the power of God that can do more than we ask or think for ourselves and each other to attain maturity, which means we now have some clarity on when we no longer will tolerate it. On the kind of patient love Paul understands in 1 Corinthians 13 that matches his earlier chapters. The goal, the key, the rubric was never in the single words themselves. The key is in understanding what it is to be the church. And that's why exegesis is never just about just reading single words, read a New Testament dictionary, and then never. You either get maturity, you either get God's mind, you either get the gospel chapter 1 to 4, or you're not going to read the verses right, ever. Like I just read 1 Corinthians 13. If you're a non-Christian, it's all horizontal. If people are total jerks to you, just sing Beyonce, to the left. Done. To the left. And as Warren Buffett says, Warren Buffett is totally horizontal, because there's no God. Don't hang out with people who are a negative influence in your life. It's very simple. Don't tolerate them. Just don't hang out. It's bad for you. You'll lose money long term, Warren Buffett says. But Christians do that. Are we crazy? Are we stupid? Or do we have a God? Do you understand what I'm saying? We're talking in the context of the church. We Christians do exactly what non-Christians would never tolerate, which is why this bearing one with one another makes things so clear. We more than just hang out with people who don't work well in teams. We more than just hang out with people who are immature, who don't listen, who are younger than us or older than us, or who don't get it. We hang out with people we might not even get along with. In other words, even from the point of view of the goal or objective of church, we hang out with failures. We hang out with failures. That's why it says here, bear with one another. People fail in being eager to maintain the church, but we hang out with them. We continue them. Just like we continue with ourselves. We don't give up, and people also don't give up on us. That's why in our CRC constitution, you can't just jump out of resignation and walk out. You don't. We won't allow you to. We want to continue with you. But so many of you are like, what to do? You just like, go on. You don't even ask for permission anyway. Just jump out the thing and just walk out. We persevere and bear with people who fail, often to even understand what they already said they understood and signed in their membership commitments. Why we do this? Why do we do this? Because we are committed to God's gospel. We trust in God. And that's also why we act to discipline you or ourselves, because we trust in God. So please don't just quote things like this to us like, you're supposed to be patient. Maybe write a short essay for us before you use those words. Then we know. Because we're mature. Mature means got to know the knowledge of the Son of God, right? The non-Christian would not bother to bear with one another. They only have one life, so they don't have time for people who fail like us, who fail by their criteria to keep them happy, who fail to do what the company needs, who fail to build each other up. But because we are rooted and grounded not in our own love, but in God's love, which we never deserved. Ephesians 3:17, 4 verse 2. Therefore, we bear with one another. It's not your love to lose or give. It's God's love. Get it? You understand what I'm trying to say? Don't take it so-called personally. You are in love. God's way. God's achievement. As your pastor, I can tell you, of all the people who have left church this year, only one ex-member has fulfilled the expectations of this verse. So the rest of you, you better be aware of your trajectory. You better be aware of the failure of the human heart. Don't think that the churches that you go to are going to also be careful about these things. As far as our experience is concerned, speaking just from our experience, not bringing down anyone, just facts. Not a single church has ever asked if it's safe to accept these people. I pray for these churches. I hope that they're going to be okay. I hope they won't experience the same thing in the next 10 years. Fifth, grace is an eagerness. Now listen to me very carefully. Okay, it's been slowly ramping up. Started from this lowliness, this servant. Started from this meekness, like Jesus, who trusted in God. Goes to this bearing one another, long-suffering, and then bearing one another. And now finally, very importantly, all of this because we are eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit. Eager to be the church. Eager to keep the church the church. eager to attain the maturity of the church. So eager here means making every effort. Be zealous or eager. Take pains. In fact, the Greek here sounds almost the same as the Proto-Germanic word spodis, because the Greek word here is spuzazzo or spude or speedo, which actually your speedo lah, your swimming trunks from Australia. Speedo, same lah. So we get the English word for speed from the Proto-Germanic word spodis. I don't know how to pronounce Proto-Germanic, but the spodis is actually very similar or close to spudazzo or spude, speedo. And the dictionary definition is to do something hurriedly. So hurry to join me in Nicopolis is what Paul says, right? To hurry is to have the implications of associate energy, a burst of power. To hurry, to do quickly. In fact, Peter O'Brien, based on other verses, you can see the context in his right, points out that the word has an element of crisis to it. Okay? We're talking about church, huh? We're talking about church, huh? We're talking about something which is 2,000 years old, and Paul uses this word, but translates this as, do it now. So, did you do it now yesterday? Did you do it now last Sunday? Did you do it now last 10 years of your membership life? Paul is saying that with regards to the purpose and objective that he identified earlier in the sermon, with regards to the church, work at it in this manner, with this energy, with this intent, with this disposition, with this focus. Baili. You guys watch your Korean, right? Yala. I love yala. Yala is so cool. Yala. Or hurry. Or schnell. When I was a boy, I always remember watching this cartoons or comics. I read World War II comics. And when German soldiers are under attack, they yell, Schnell. Okay, so you can see one here at the end, just the captain at the bottom shouting, Schnell. So, when you think of how you've behaved, thought, acted in CRC since you understood what you're doing as a Christian in this church. I start from that point. I don't want to start from your conversion. Maybe you have 10 years of guilt for that one. But from CRC, since you understood as a Christian the things of Ephesians 1-4. And don't tell me, I only answered that last week, Pastor. Cannot. I don't want that kind of like, only when I'm perfect, only I spudio, pali, schnell. I'm talking about when you were a Christian who understood God loves his people. Okay? Like that lah. Just do an audit lah. Which of these describe you? Are you one of the many skilled workers in support of an incredible goal? Are you one of these skilled workers? When you think about you and the church, you and CRC, are you one of these pit crew? 1.91 seconds. I can't even tie my shoe. I can't. What? Do you know how long you have to train for that? Are you this or someone we should all avoid depending on for an important task, which describes many department members, I'm guessing. Look at how clean these mechanics are. Habis lah. Your car is up there, You need it tomorrow for work. You have to take 2 buses today. This guy is all sitting there going like, being very emo about some music band they're starting or something. Which one are you? Okay? Be honest. Since you understood CRC and the church and gospel and all that. Are you a soldier moving quickly into position? Yala. Schnell. Or are you in a sleeping position? Look at the fella lah. Bank robbed already 7 times, still cannot wake up. Which are you as a church member? Are you filled with urgency as Paul's use of the verb demands from you? Or have you been sitting still for so long that even the flora and fauna don't expect you to be moving anytime soon? So the kata also sit there already. He's going to be quite surprised if you move half an inch because he haven't moved in 200 years. In each one of these, which are you lah? Can you please be honest? Look, can you see the points? The first one, skilled worker, highly efficient. The other one, urgent, fighting a war. Third one, moving quickly, speed. The rock is not moving at all, hasn't moved for years. Like some of your Trello bots, all completely grey already. They should put a Trello aging effect where a frog just lives there and swims around. That'd be cool. I want the GM and the HR bosses and GG leaders. So GG leaders should look through these pairs and you should print out postcards For each of your GG members, and I know some ex-members say, this is the thing. Very intense, our church. Very intense, and that's why I don't like it. But it says there, spodeo. It says there, be eager. It's an imperative. What do you want me to do? Disobey Jesus? Do you want the church to disobey Jesus? I, therefore, a prisoner for the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, eager. And eager means ambulance, not rock. Soldier, getting in a position, not sleeping, useless security guard. Pit bull crew, not mechanic with emo problems.